Tell us how you met Mr. Rubin.
I met Mr. Rubin on the front line. He was at a different company than I was. And we wound up voting Camp 5. And that's when we just like the average, and we was hanging around in the same barber shop and everything. Well, we called it barber shop now. So we didn't want to look like that. And every day we kept saying we're going to get rescued, And then the winters got bad. And so our bodies were covered with lice. And it's not a very pretty picture, So Ted knew what brown haired used to eat because he was an Hungarian prisoner of the Germans. And he knew what, if they dig this up and eat this, and so, that gave us a little courage to return to what it seemed as aim, unless we studied their doctrine. It got so bad, I had dysentery and died, and I couldn't go to the bathroom. Ted would pick me up, literally pick me up, and I couldn't see how to eat excuse my language, I don't really have got the strength to carry me, but I only weighed about 80 pounds, 90 pounds. They took us over to the lodge where we straddled a pair of logs to go to the bathroom and carry me down to the river and wash me. And we became good friends because he was raised with, when he was in Hungary or something like that, he counted people. He was telling me how to do it, and I kept carrying my rosary and some, and I used to hold masses down here in the prison camp. And I used to be known as the storyteller. And every time the guys would get down, I'd tell them a story, and that's how I got the name of the storyteller, Tibor, the storyteller. And Ted and I became very, very, very good friends, fast friends. And I'll tell you all my life to them. When they knocked me out and put me off, Ted taught the Chinese, the Koreans beat me up, and Ted taught the Chinese to put me in a jeep and take me to Camp 5.
So Ted asked the Chinese to have you move to Camp 5?
Put me in a jeep, because the Koreans had beaten me up. They couldn't even move. But when I got in Camp 5, they made sure in one of those chicken coops. And that's why I stayed.
What sort of things did you see Rubin do to help soldiers get through?
No, I'll tell you that. They went out and they used to have grinding mills for flour. They go out and stuff this camp full of flour to take for all the guys in camp to eat. He provided. And he was very well-mouthed about how to survive, And that didn't help a lot of guys. I wasn't the only one who carried to the latrine or anything, or make sure they got their food or anything, He was doing it for a number of guys. He was all around man to help his fellow soldiers. And he kept telling you, he's glad to be in this country, and all that.
Do you think he was risking his life?
Quite a few times. Yeah, he risked his life. They'd have caught him stealing our flour. They would cut his neck off. And I knew a couple of guys up there that wouldn't cooperate, and we didn't see them anymore. Or they come down with a broken leg or a broken arm. And what the things that Rubin did, and it's amazed me that they didn't catch him doing it, but as a sacrifice of his own life, he went out ahead and to try to help the other prisoners of war,
Did you guys think he was crazy?
No, Ted wasn't crazy. Ted is, he's a well-liked man, and he likes to be, accepted by everybody, And he go out of his way to do favors for you to help you out to survive. I seen him one night spend the whole night picking life up one of the guys that didn't have the strength to lift his head up. And Ted stayed there all night picking life up the guy on the charcoal fire. So, what man would do that? I To me, if I could have, I don't know if I would have done it or not. I'll be honest with you, I don't think I would have. I would have stayed up all night just to pick lights off a buddy. Like, hey, go down and soak in the cold water to let him fall off, you know. But just the things he did to his fellow man, I made him a hero in my book. I'm just one person. I know other guys that said he was one hell of a guy that was really knew the work for him. And I suggested the Department of the Army they give him the Medal of Honor because he deserved it. At the sacrifice of his own life, he stepped out and some of the sergeants that was in his company. He was pretty well active in his company. I wasn't in the same company. I met him on the front lines, but they wasn't in combat with him, you know. When we came out, wind up in the same campfire.
Do you think that if he receives the medal, do you think it's because he helped save lives, or is it for more than that? Is it also for his actions in combat?
Well, I can't speak about his actions in combat, but I can talk about his actions in the prison camp. He saved a lot of guys' lives. He gave them the courage to go on living. A lot of guys didn't make it. And what more can I say? You know, to me, I'm personally beholden to him because he did save my life. I could have been left in state and just died away because I was down to about 60, 70 pounds of weight. You can imagine a guy as big as I am to be about 60 pounds. I come back, I was nothing but flesh and bones. And
what kind of a relationship have the two of you shared since those days in the POW camp?
Well, I'll tell you, I called him up because I heard he was in California, and I came to California, and I called him up on the phone. His wife answered the phone. He goes, "Oh, this is Leo Cormier. There's a big Cormier Chevrolet dealer down here in California." He said, "Well, we're not going to buy a car." I said, "Oh, okay." I said, "I want to talk to your husband." He says, "My husband's not making the decision." He says, "We don't want to buy a car." So I called him twice. I said, "You tell Tibor," and we used to call him Tibor, instead of Teddy. I said, "Tell him this is Leo." I said, "You forgot me already?" "Oh," he said, "Leo, come on over." And from that day, my wife and I went over, and he was there. He was there to help me when my wife passed away and everything.
Really?
Yeah.
How did he help you then?
Emotionally, value, somebody to try his shoulder on me, and he was there to help me out. I didn't, because he knew my wife very well, and so that's just the type of guy he is. I can't say any more than that.
What did you tell your son about Teddy? I spoke to him on Sunday, and he said that he's always known him as Uncle Teddy.
That's awesome. We're so close we call him Uncle Teddy, because I saw my children. I had 10 children. I had 4 girls, 6 boys. No, 6 girls and 4 boys. Well, no, we adopted 2 of them, and we adopted 2 boys and 2 girls. And always referred to Teddy as Uncle Teddy, because we're going to go up to see Uncle Teddy. And Ted and I used to had full memories, And I told my kids, I said, they got up asking me, "Hey, Dad, what did you see him for?" I saw the guy who saved your dad's life. And he said, "Yeah?" I said, "Well, you don't know what happened, So my children were brought up with the aspect that Ted saved my life, Because I told them what happened in prison camp, how we survived, and what food we had to eat, And you take grass and boil regular grass and make soup out of it. There's more vitamins in grass than there is you can't even think. But anyway, that's years gone by. And we used to eat mice and snakes and stuff like that. So that's, stuff I wouldn't even touch. But,
if you had the chance to say anything you wanted to say to Ted, what would it be?
When there's a chance to what I want to say. I said what I'm going to say. Ted saved my life. That's what I want to say.
What did you say to him?
To him?
To him. To Ted.
To Ted? Thanks for saving my life. You're the best friend I had in the world. I'm Catholic and he's Jewish. And we used to kill each other about that all the time. You know? And he used to call me a Hebrew brother. Like I say, what I would say to Ted, thanks for saving my life, Ted. Because I wouldn't have been here. Why is it important to me?
Yes.
I think I just made that statement because he saved my life. I owe my life to him. And, you know, I would have just perished in that prison camp. I had to admit to Ted. Okay? And I think that quite a few other guys would have gone without Ted. And from what I hear from one of the sergeants come up, and the sergeant, he passed away now. He was a very brave soldier. But to me, in my own self, he's a man that's living my life up. That's why I'm here today.
It's been over 50 years. How do you feel that you're finally helping him get this Medal of Honor?
Yeah, it took long enough for them to give it to him. They should have given it to him when I first recommended him for it. You know? I feel good. I feel delighted that the government's finally going to snap out of it and give him that medal. Because he deserves it. Not only for myself, but I've seen a lot of guys he helps out. And I heard from the sergeant, what's his name, about how good he was in combat, you know? So, it's just long in coming. It's way overdue.